Hey guys, and welcome back to the Who Cares Anyway podcast. We are live. It is Friday night. I'm excited. I'm stoked because you know what? We're going to be diving into what is quite arguably, in my opinion, the greatest blockbuster film trilogy of all time. Now, Grant, there's probably some independent stuff that I just haven't gotten around to seeing it that, you know what? Maybe it does strike more true for me than this film trilogy does. But I haven't seen it yet, so I can't make a comment on that. But I know somebody who's very inclined to agree with me on that opinion, and that is, of course, my usual co-host, Kees Cornelisse. Kees, what's up, man? How has your day been?
Hi, guys. I haven't had the best week, so I definitely need this today just to unwind, relax, and enjoy a good conversation about, yes, my all-time favorite movie trilogy. And I don't care if there's any other trilogy out there that might be better. I probably won't even consider it better. In my personal opinion, the Lord of the Rings trilogy is the best movie trilogy ever made. I watch it regularly. The extended versions of all three movies, because I love that. Not the other three movies that were made in the same universe. Just the Lord of the Rings. They're amazing. I love them, so let's talk.
Absolutely. And also here, now, granted, I'm not going to throw this, I'm not going to throw him under the bus too much because, he's working on it, and now he has access to these movies, so it's just as soon as he has the time, which I can imagine will be fairly soon. Also in honor of the release of Tolkien this week, the new biopic about the author of The Lord of the Rings, J.R.R. Tolkien, which I'll talk about in a little bit in the second half of the show. Nico Rigoli. Nico, Mr. Suave, what's up?
So it looks like I'm going to be half-assing it a little bit this episode because, yes, I still have not gotten to anything Middle-earth related.
You suck! Sorry.
And as of right now, if you were to ask me what is the greatest trilogy of all time, I would definitely have to say How to Train Your Dragon. But, the subject matter, don't know how much I'm going to be able to chime in, but also I'm trying to get this portfolio done to finally finish up my semester of college, and then after that, just one class left in the fall, and then I can finally get that goddamn diploma. But yeah, so I'll try and chime in here and there where I can. But yeah, I'm gonna be a little out of it tonight. Just a fair warning.
Well, yeah, because you mentioned that literally last night you were up till 7:00 this morning today. Is that right?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, man. Why? Why would you torture yourself like this?
Why do any of us do anything?
Oh, don't get Philip. Don't you?
He's a glutton for punishment. That's what it is.
I was about to say, shit. No, shit. I forgot the 3PO line now. Oh no. Oh yeah, never mind, because I have to call you a mindless philosopher. Yep. Fuck, never mind. Fuck it. It's fine. Fuck it, we'll do it live. Anyway, Brian Nussbaum, Jonathan Peck, I see you both in the chat. Always great to see you, gentlemen. And let us know how your week was. Seriously, let us know in the chat. I'd love to see how you guys have been doing. And a couple things I want to get into before we actually break into the news. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to announce that this week, common sense has lost a little bit more of its life force. Georgia, what the fuck are you doing? I don't want to get too much into it, but I just want to get this out there. What the fuck are you doing?
Stupid people are stupid.
Yes, they are.
And isn't Ohio sort of doing something similar, if not worse?
Well, okay, the thing is, it hasn't gone through yet, but they're working on it. They're trying to make it happen, and it's probably going to happen, which is the sad thing. But it is what it is at the moment. And here's the thing. In the next few years, we're finally gonna get our heads out of our ass, hopefully, and start to turn this around. Like shit. Just the other night, I was just cruising around on Twitter, and I saw Sarah Silverman of all people. Not controversial whatsoever. Very controversial. That's kind of why I like her. She actually made a really interesting statement about why are unsexualized women's breasts viewed as such a obscene thing all across social media? Because the worst thing that happened was she posted a picture of some of her beauty products, and yes, she just happened to have the boys hanging out for all the world to see. And it's like, dude, yes, there should be nothing wrong with you taking a topless picture, just sort of showing off your products, and fine, cool, great. But of course, Instagram had to take it down because they deemed it too obscene. What?
Yeah, I've actually seen several either videos or pictures of women just wanting to show themselves in that way, but not to have people think, oh, this is bad, this is obscene, we should censor this. It's stupid. When have we come to a world where things like fuck, shit, all kinds of curse words are fine, all kinds of violence is fine, but nudity, the littlest bit of it, oh, no, that's a big no, that's taboo.
I mean, for God's sakes, Howard the Duck. The 1986 movie had duck tits in it.
Duck tits. It sucks, but
woohoo!
There are duck tits. By the way, don't watch the movie if you haven't. And if you have, I feel sorry for you.
I was going to say, don't watch the movie sober. Let's just make that perfectly clear. Don't watch it sober. Now,
get a lot of alcohol for that one.
Well, Kees, it's funny that you mentioned alcohol because, as you guys will see on our Schmodown reaction later tonight, once that finally airs, Nico kind of buried the lead on something.
Oh,
right. So
we're going to talk about
this. We are going to talk about this for real quick, motherfuckers. Now, Nico, obviously, it was your birthday this week, so happy 24th.
Happy birthday.
And,
thank you.
Of course, we had to spread it all across social media because you're one of us. You're part of the crew. Of course, we had to support you. One of us. So,
Google gobble.
So you do realize you have to spill some fucking details, man. What? Tell us how your birthday was.
That's everything.
All right. So, clarification: this is not the first time I've been legally drunk, but this is definitely the most drunk I've been in my entire life. It was a few days before my birthday was going to happen, and I was just spur of the moment. I texted my friends and said hey, listen, let's go to the bar. Let's just have a good ass time and just enjoy each other's company. Lo and behold, it was also trivia night that night at the bar, which I did not realize. And I want to clarify that I didn't get super plastered until after trivia had officially ended.
Smart.
Halfway I think towards the end of the trivia competition that was going on there, I had only had maybe 2 drinks total. But basically, I'll let you know that it was kind of like Grey's Anatomy, The Office, and Game of Thrones trivia. And we had the most people on our team and the least amount of points. It was very, very sad if you were a bystander. But
probably none of you guys watch those shows. That's the issue.
I've seen The Office. It's just been a while. But
you haven't seen Game of Thrones.
I should also mention that pretty much everyone on our team had suffered brain trauma at some point, because we're stupid and shit like that happens. But okay, so in terms of the drinking, I'm definitely not a beer guy. Or at least not the generic beer that they have here.
Same.
I do, however, like hard cider and hard lemonade. It tastes pretty damn good. So,
fair point.
By the end of the night, by I'd say maybe 11 o'clock at night, I had maybe 7 drinks, and I was starting to feel the weebles wobbles, but they don't fall down.
That's a way of saying that.
That's a way of saying that.
And Kees knows I have a pool from past videos.
Oh no!
I think everyone knows this, and I like where this is going.
And so basically, after a certain amount of time, nobody really wanted the party to end. So it's just hey, listen, we're having a great time. Let's head to the pool. My pool's open. Let's just enjoy each other's company. And nobody, I know you guys are waiting for something crazy to happen, but really nothing did. We just swam, did a couple ridiculous cannonballs and belly flops and whatnot, and drank more, and that was it. I think I had like 8 drinks the entire night. Handled it fairly well. My friend Drew threw up on my patio, so
Oh, no.
Okay, that happened.
There we go. Now we got some crazy. All right.
Yeah, now it's a party.
and for the record, he also had a reason to celebrate because he had just graduated a few days before.
Oh,
So-
well, congratulations to him.
Yeah, congratulations to my boy Drew Bazell. I'll be joining you there in Diploma Land very soon, hopefully.
Hopefully. Fingers
But,
crossed.
You can do it, man. We believe in you.
Yes.
But yeah, I think nothing really crazy happened. More so when the party was ending, I was more so concerned with everyone else because like, okay, is anyone really safe to drive right now? And there were maybe two friends of mine who I was super concerned about, but other than that, I think everyone was okay. Everyone called me as soon as they got home, which was good. And
Nice.
yeah, we've come to the conclusion that we need to do this more often, and we're definitely
Yes.
going to do that
Yes.
more often. I'm thinking part of me wants to have them come over and have some more fun on the night of the Guy Bateman match. Just so I have some-
Oh. Except,
Yeah.
hold on a minute, though. Does that mean you're not going to be on that reaction, sir?
Yeah.
Dude, I didn't say we would watch it. I said it would be on the night of, so maybe I'll just have them
Oh.
over and they'll keep me
Ah.
occupied so I don't
That's
feel
next week
temptation.
already.
Oh my God, yeah, it's already next week, and I'm
But,
so
yeah.
mad I can't be there.
But one thing I forgot to mention was spur of the moment. My friend and I, we were just like, Evanescence "Bring Me to Life" popped on at the bar, and
Okay.
and that's when we remembered there's a concert this Sunday for Evanescence. So we just bought tickets, and yeah, Sunday night I'm going to enjoy the magnificence that is Amy Lee's voice.
To be fair, her voice is fucking fantastic. You know what? Actually, I think, you know what, Nico? Since I know that you and Kees, both of you have to make your appearance on Downtune Dissection, right here on Dedicated Art, shameless plug, maybe you can bring an Evanescence album to Ryan's attention. I think he'll do that with you.
I think you should have Matthew Rosa on before you have me on, because obviously that's Matthew Rosa is my boy. First of all, secondly,
Well,
he's been the number one contender to the jukebox title. Thirdly, he's a musician himself, so he should be on there
Then
before I
tell
said
Ryan to hit him up.
Okay, Ryan, hit Matthew.
No.
No.
This is how you do it. First, Nico comes on, then Nico shows it to Matt, and then Matt is like, "Oh, come on, let me do this," and then Matt comes on.
Ah, there we go.
That's a good strategy.
Absolutely.
By the way,
Yeah.
Chris, I have a little good news for you. I just saw this.
Ooh.
The critic score of John Wick 3 is at 97% right now. So that's good stuff.
Yes, that is great stuff, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what? Depending on winning a certain email from a certain someone who I'll talk about in just a second here. Who knows? Maybe next week will be a return to dumb action movies, and maybe bring up some John Wick stuff. Still working
That's
on
not a
your
dumb action movie. That's a damn good action movie.
You're damn right it is. Even if the plot is kind of brainless, but
Plot is simple,
the plot is simple.
but
But
effective.
but who says that simple can't be great? True. Now, and something else really awesome happened this week, and I'm just gonna put it this way. So over the last month, we've been kind of carefully tracking our Joker reaction that Ryan and I did over a month ago, and milestone, gentlemen, we have hit 1,000 views on one video. Yes. So, and because it built up over time and it just kept rolling and rolling, it was kind of like the Titanic of programming here on Dedicated Art as it currently stands. But we now have an Avengers Endgame. That is
that's the reaction you put up yesterday.
yeah. So yesterday just out of the blue, I hit up Nico and I'm like, hey, you want to do a reaction to that Scene 38 from New Hope Reimagined fan film? And he was like, yeah. And I was like,
Yeah, I was working. That's why I didn't join.
unfortunately. And apparently right now it's sitting at about 760 views.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Which is insane. What?
Like, not even our Clone Wars stuff from Celebration did that well. And it's doing pretty well right now, but to get like 760 views within a day for a fan film, that is insane.
Yeah, so to everybody, thank you to everyone who watched it. Thank you to everyone who liked it and who commented on it. Yeah, but it's funny I bring that up because once we put that out there, I actually decided to do something really ballsy. And I hit up the creator of that fan film at Fix It in Post. And I was like, hey, is there any chance we could have you on our weekly podcast? And guys, this is not an official confirmation of like when this is happening, but they did say yes. So hopefully in the next week or so, we will actually be sitting down with the creator of Scene 38 Reimagined, Fix It in Post, and have them on the show to talk about what was the process of taking such an iconic scene from Star Wars and just showing us their version of how they would do it. And
okay, their version of how they would do it nowadays. Because what they did, you can't do in 1977.
No, of course, and I used a similar comparison, like because I compared it to the fight from Civil War in the reaction. Because if let's say Civil War was made in 76, it wouldn't be as epic as it was when it was filmed in 2015.
There was a comment that said if the fight of Civil War would have been made back in the 70s, then it would be like Kirk versus the Gorn in the original Star Trek series.
And like, hey, great, as someone who loves Kirk versus the Gorn, yeah, but I love that. So, so yes, we actually, I can say that, and we're just working out the details of when we will have them on, but we are so excited to have them on and to pick their brain for an hour, and it's going to be amazing. Very excited for that. So with that, considering we've almost gone 20 minutes now, just sort of doing some housekeeping and talking nonsense, this is unusual. I'm not used to this. So
Are you mad, bro?
No, I'm happy. I remember when I saw the video was doing so well, I just walked into work yesterday just feeling like hot shit, and I just owned it. like I was this close to going full Dancing Peter from Spider-Man 3, but I didn't. But yes, so guys, let's break into some movie news. Starting off with, going back to just people who, what are you doing, sir? Mel Gibson. He's not controversial at all. No. So, okay, get this. So, here, Nico, let me pitch this to you. So, Mel Gibson is going to play Santa Claus. And he's going to play a Santa Claus who gives a 12-year-old child a lump of coal. And that child is going to send an assassin out to put a hit on Santa. Does this sound like a fun idea to you? And Nico died. No.
Oh, no.
No. He pulled a case. Damn it.
It wasn't me this time.
It was not you. So
cutting out. Heavily cutting out. Okay. Chat. Nico, listen to me. We're not hearing you.
Yep. Sorry guys, technical difficulties. We'll get it fixed in just a moment here. But Kees, you hear this news and you think, like, how bad of an idea is this?
Look. There's only one thing ever that Mel Gibson has appeared in, and it's not really Mel Gibson, that I absolutely love, and it's the South Park episode about him. Because he is a nutcase.
Yes, he is.
And look, he has made some good movies and good stuff. This is not one of it. So instead, watch, I think it's, the episode is called Passion of the Jew.
Yes.
Season 7 or 8. I'm not entirely sure. It is amazing. The way it makes fun of Mel Gibson is so on point, and it's just the most amazing thing ever. So instead of watching whatever he's doing now, watch that episode of South Park because it's gorgeous.
Well, and here's the scariest thing for me is that it's coming to us from the minds from the producers of the 2018 version of Halloween. Now, granted, I liked that version of Halloween, but that's adult dark entertainment. This is supposed to be children for kids.
Nico's back.
Oh, Nico's back. Oh, thank God.
Yeah, sorry. The fact that I have so many programs open because I'm trying to finish this project, but also it's been raining a lot the past few days, so I don't think it's raining right now.
Damn
but
it, Pennsylvania!
Not good connection. Not a good connection right now. But what is the plot of this movie?
Okay, so you know what? I'll go through it one more time with you. So hear me out. Mel Gibson's Santa Claus, and Santa Claus gives a naughty kid a lump of coal for Christmas. Well, said naughty kid decides to put out a hit on Santa.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So tell me, how bad of an idea is this?
Who's playing the naughty kid?
Shit, I forgot to look this up. Give me 2 seconds here.
Also, why am I thinking of Angelica Pickles from the Rugrats when I hear this plot?
Yeah, that sounds about right. There is no one cast currently as the kid.
Who would be in this?
But no, you're right. We would need like an Angelica Pickles type character if this has any shot of coming across as legitimate.
I can't think of anyone who would play the kid, because in all seriousness, I kind of actually like this concept because it's original, for one thing.
Fair.
And we're running out of original ideas in a sense. People are just trying to kind of like in a zone where they're recycling a bunch of already used ideas. This is an interesting way to go, and I want to see how it plays out.
Okay.
If you want a kid, cast the kid who plays the young Cassie in the Ant-Man films. She's awesome.
She's too cute. I don't know if she could handle...
No, but see,
she's sassy. She has a couple of moments that are really on
She's
point.
sassy, and also you kind of want an actor or actress to be who comes across as too innocent to do this, but no.
Yeah, but that's the thing. She looks very innocent, but then she says a couple of things in those movies that you're like, wow.
Exactly.
That's just great.
Yeah, so you know what? No. Kees, great call. I like it. I like it a lot. Which I wish that was the great call that James Gunn is rumored to be making with his Suicide Squad film. So,
Michael Rooker is in every single James Gunn film.
Which, of course,
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
As he should be, because Michael Rooker is wonderful. But King Shark?
Hey, he pulled off Yondu.
He did, but that's because he had the body for it. But I don't know. Nico, you're the comics guy here. Could this be good casting, or am I just being superstitious?
Okay, Michael Rooker is an actor who's really good at portraying crazy characters, but also giving a lot of heart to them. King Shark, as we've seen in this most recent season of The Flash, has more layers than just being this guy who is mutated into a shark. Like, there's a person underneath there. And I feel like if anyone can capture the essence of that person underneath, I apparently said something that's making Kees...
No, I'm just suddenly remembering when Maui turns himself into a half a shark in Moana.
Anyway, there's a person underneath that shark, and I feel like Michael Rooker is capable of capturing the emotion of someone who is in that particular situation. And I feel like we might get a little more depth with that than we didn't get and probably should have gotten with Killer Croc in the first Suicide Squad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Case?
Yeah. I trust James Gunn and Michael Rooker to pull this off. I don't know anything really about this character, but I just know James Gunn. That's the thing. He pulled off a lot of crazy-ass characters in Guardians of the Galaxy that worked for reasons that shouldn't have worked. And that was the strength of that Guardians movie. And while I might not be the biggest fan of the second Guardians, I do at least like the idea of, well, the Mantis character and how it at least grew, how it at least made two characters that in the first Guardians were not that well loved. After the second Guardians were a lot better, Nebula and Gamora. So I'm like, he knows how to give characters
Their due time.
Yeah, and I think that's also what he did with Yondu. Yondu in the first movie is fun, but pretty one-dimensional. In the second movie, he suddenly got a lot more character, and I think that's due to Michael Rooker's performance, really pulling it off. And I think that just those two, they work together. They work well together in every of James Gunn's movies. So I think it's a good call.
Okay, fair enough. I'm still nervous, but I feel like if I see how King Shark is going to look in the Suicide Squad, and once I get to know Michael Rooker as the character, maybe I'll come around on it, but we'll see. Which is also how I'm feeling about the latest big Netflix adaptation. Now, okay, Netflix has been killing it with their movies lately, especially amongst the critics. I mean, Jesus Christ, Roma, multi-Oscar winner, big, huge success. Say what you will about the movie, and in some ways, I'm inclined to agree.
Look, to be fair, Roma didn't win as many Oscars as it should have, or at least could have. It only won the ones that it was locked for.
Yeah.
But still, the fact that it won several Oscars, was nominated for a lot more, that's impressive.
Yeah. And they're actually going to try and tackle a former Best Picture winner, directed by Alfred Hitchcock in 1940, Rebecca. His only movie to win Best Picture, funny enough. And, of course, we actually have a pretty good cast with Armie Hammer, Lily James, Kristen Scott Thomas. Mm-hmm. And yet, I can't help but be scared, even though Jane Goldman, the writer for X-Men First Class, is tackling the screenplay this time around. Case, now as someone who loves First Class,
yes,
you hear about this. Is there something in here that maybe should help me put my mind at ease, or because I'm such a fan of the original, or is there something that maybe I should be nervous about?
As anyone would know, I've not seen a single Alfred Hitchcock film. I probably should apologize for that, but I don't. Because, sorry, it's just really not my cup of tea, it seems. Maybe one day I'll give it a try, but we'll see when that happens. But it's a Best Picture winner. Why are we remaking a Best Picture winner? One of the best films ever, according to everyone, essentially. Like, it was directed by Alfred Hitchcock and it won Best Picture. Why would you remake that? What do you think you can improve on that? Maybe the fact that it's probably a little dated. Yeah, that would make sense. But it's still like, if you remake something old, remake something that's worth remaking. That's also my issue with why Disney is remaking all their beloved classics. It's like, stop remaking your beloved classics and remake a movie that not a lot of people love that much. That people like, I don't know. Yeah, Black Cauldron, like stuff like that. So I'm also just like, I don't know if you should remake Rebecca. Now, Armie Hammer, yes, great actor. I've loved him in everything I've seen him in. So yes, Lily James, she's really good, except for, well, another remake, Cinderella. I was not a fan of her as Cinderella, but she's a good actress. I don't know the other one, but at least it does have have a good cast. That's all I can say about it. I'm still with you. Like, yeah, probably not.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Nico, now you probably have not even heard of Rebecca. I'm sure. Fair.
Heard of it, not totally familiar with what it is.
Okay. Well, much like a lot of Hitchcock's affairs, it's pretty much a thriller with kind of a horror backdrop. Like, the horror isn't really as much of a part of it as it is more so a thriller, which is they call Hitchcock the master of suspense for a reason. And, of course, it's one of the few films in that genre to actually win Best Picture. Now, of course, it's black and white because it's 1940. But what the short of it is, it's a really intense film that really defined Hitchcock's early work. Not so much the later stuff, but it really defined his early work, in my opinion.
And who is the artist that is remaking this movie?
The director is... Oh, shit. I had it. Oh, no.
You suck.
Damn it. Fuck.
Your computer sucks.
Yes, it does. My computer sucks big balls.
I guess I feel bad.
Oh, sorry. Ben Wheatley. There we go. And give me...
Korath?
Yeah, just... one of his most recent film was Free Fire with...
Okay.
With Brie Larson, Cillian Murphy, also Armie Hammer, Charlotte Copley, bunch of other actors.
Okay. Well, I'll just go back to my original point when I was talking about the Santa Claus movie. Hollywood has kind of run out of ideas. And so they feel a need to recycle and see if they can put their own spin on certain things. That's essentially what we're getting here. And, it can be considered a challenge as much as it can be considered just like not knowing what else to do. So all you got to do is make sure that you put your own spin on it that differentiates itself and makes it synonymous with you, as opposed to like, oh, he tried to do Hitchcock and he did Hitchcock well, but it's not an original take from this different person.
I was going to say, sorry. Go ahead.
I just realized why Nico doesn't know Armie Hammer. He hasn't seen the Social Network. What's the Social Network?
Also, watch Call Me By Your Name.
Yes.
I'm like half paying attention. I'm like half paying attention right now.
Well, then stop doing your student portfolio and come back to the show.
Right now is the part that you should be interested in, because this at least is something that you could know.
Yeah.
The second part of the show is something else.
The second part of the show, I don't blame you for. John Salvi, I see you are in the chat. How are you doing tonight, sir? Always good to see you. Now, speaking of challenges and not knowing what to do with your time, everyone, I'd like to pose a question to you. I'd like to pose a challenge to you. What the hell is Sylvester Stallone doing in his free time?
Making more Expendables movies? Making more Rocky movies? I don't know.
Well, he does have, the was supposedly the last Rambo movie coming out later this year, which, please, for the love of God, don't suck.
Hey, he's still in the Creed movies. And the second one was still great. So.
Yes, it was. Even though I still have yet to see it, but I've heard nothing but great things about it.
Watch it.
I'll make time for it. As soon as it's on Netflix or Hulu, I'll give it a watch. But Sylvester Stallone actually was in the news for a little bit this week because about 30-ish years ago, He was in 4 films from Warner Brothers Studios, which included Demolition Man from 1993, which, oh my god, I love it. The Specialist from 1994, which I haven't seen that one yet. I don't plan on it. Cobra from 1986, and Tango and Cash from 1989. Now, under his contract with each of those films, he was supposed to receive 15% of the gross profit from after the movie's release, and that included home video in all formats. Warner Brothers has been holding out on him, so of course he, did the sort of selfish thing of, yo, hey, give me my money.
Yo, Warner Brothers, you owe me money.
Oh, good God.
No shame. No shame.
None whatsoever.
Oh, goodness. But, yeah. So, and apparently, even though what initially had happened was specifically for Demolition Man back in 2017, Warner Bros. had cut him a check for about $3 million to sort of make up some of the difference in that. But now he's been trying to sue to, again, make up the difference for the other 3 films, Cobra, Tango and Cash, which, schmodown today.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. Sorry, spoiler alert. And The Specialist, and the only information that we've gotten so far is that they've just settled out of court, but it's also like, I just have to ask, does he really need the money?
No.
No. I mean, he makes more than enough in royalties and residuals from both Rocky and Rambo franchises. Because
And Expendables.
And Expendables.
Yes, that's the thing.
So, but then again, any artist who has money, that was supposed to be intended for them, but isn't being given to them, they could make the argument of, well, this is what my contract said, this is what the contract said I was owed, but I've been refused it, so I'm suing for that. There's a huge gray area that I just wish, we had a little more public information to, but I still wanted to just bring this up for just a moment, just because, it's so fascinating to me. It really is. Nico, any thoughts?
Well, you do bring up a great point of, does he need the money? And I think it's safe to say that there are a lot of people in Hollywood who really don't need the money. It's just a matter of principle. And in a way, Sly Stallone could be looked at in a hero to young aspiring artists, in that he's fighting for something he made, and you don't want to get taken advantage of, especially in this day and age of independent contractors, where contracts are so loose unless you work for the WWE, in which case you're pretty much a full-blown employee in everything but title on the contract.
And health insurance. Sorry, what?
Yeah. So I guess good on Sly for standing up for the work of creators and the things you put the work into. Now, so Taylor Swift did this with music a while back, and this
is true.
And that was sort of like the catalyst for the YouTube copyright laws that we have now. Now, there were copyright laws long before that, but she kind of, when she was fighting for the rights of her music, that's when the copyright stuff kicked into high gear. So, and now pretty much nobody can use any music without a single strike hitting their way. I don't know how Coho has avoided getting completely banned from YouTube when he's violated. He's had so many copyright strikes in the past year, but basically, good start. Hopefully, it doesn't blow up into something that we can't put back in the genius bottle. That's what I'll say.
Fair enough. Okay, any final thoughts before we move on to the last 2 stories?
Move on.
All right. So, we're going to move on to the last little bits here before we hit the break. And it happened, folks. It happened. Avengers Endgame finally surpassed Titanic. Surpassed Titanic as now the second highest grossing movie of all time. And James Cameron was surprisingly very cordial about it. And he released a little statement on his Twitter that went to the effect of, "To Kevin and everybody at Marvel, an iceberg sank the real Titanic." I almost went Joyce there for a second. An iceberg. Fucking iceberg's mine.
Oh, God. Why are you doing
No shame. "It took the Avengers to sink my Titanic. Everyone here at Lightstorm Entertainment salutes your amazing achievement. You've shown that the movie industry is not only alive and well, it's bigger than ever, Jim Cameron." So, you know what? I'm pleasantly surprised that James was so cordial about it. Because given the last couple of years, he's been a little bit of a PR nightmare, in my opinion. Terminator Genesis shit, anyone? Anyway. Case, is it refreshing to see James Cameron humbled by Endgame's success?
I doubt he's humbled.
Well,
I really doubt it. Really, this is just him being ahead of everyone else, because already for the last couple of weeks, it's been up in the air. Avengers Endgame is gonna pass Titanic, and perhaps even Avatar. And so many people have been like, "Oh, for the love of fucking God, let's pass it. Let's dethrone this goddamn movie that is so goddamn overrated, that has been in that number one spot for fucking ever, and we're done with it." So, like, he's just ahead of everyone else, like, okay, congratulations. So that no one really can say that much against him. Yeah, correct move, Cameron, I guess. You're still not going to have the highest grossing movie of all time anymore after this is all over. Because Endgame is at $2.3 billion right now, and that's only in its second week of release. So, yeah, when it's all said and done, it will be the number one grossing movie worldwide. Not domestic, though. That will still be The Force Awakens. Because The Force Awakens, this last week, has gained 20 million per day on Endgame. So, yeah, Endgame might be lucky to beat Avatar for the domestic gross. But I just so hope it beats Avatar for the worldwide gross, because that record just needs to be broken.
Nico?
Near, far, wherever you are.
Terrible.
I sing that song at karaoke from time to time, not gonna lie.
Basically, all I have is that song and one down, one to go. The Titanic has sunk for the second time. And now it's time for...
Shots fired, or iceberg, should you say.
Now it's time for Avatar to be dethroned.
I was saying, no Case, for all the World War I buffs out there, that was the Lusitania that got shot down. Oh, shit!
Oh.
Ooh, lordy. But, yeah. I mean, look, good on him for being cordial about it, for not, continuing his constant nonsense, considering, yeah, Brian Nussbaum, you brought this up, that, last year he tried to drop the whole, well, there's comic book fatigue and yada, yada, yada. It's like, no.
It's comic book fatigue. The highest grossing movie is going to be a comic book movie.
Yeah. Now, that said, as we move on to the final story, James will have a chance to possibly fire back. Because Disney has released a slate of what's going to be coming down the pike over the next roughly 8 years. And come Christmas, starting 2021, Avatar and Star Wars are going to be playing a little bit of ping pong with each other. Where Avatar, 2021, well, Avatar 2 specifically. Then the next Star Wars film after Rise of Skywalker, presumably Benioff and Weiss #1 in 2022. Then Avatar 3, Benioff and Weiss 2. Then Avatar 4, Benioff and Weiss 3. And then Avatar 5 closing out in 2027.
Whoa! Well done, sir. Better add to your name.
Thank you. All right, whoever can make the best caption for that belch, maybe I'll send you a DVD code or something, or a Blu-ray code. But seeing this now, it's got me thinking. When I was looking over the release schedule, I only saw 3 Star Wars movies. But if an inside source, according to Mark Fernandez, who does have valid sources at Lucasfilm, is to be believed, we are actually getting 6 in that time span. Possibly both. And if the source is to be correct, Benioff and Weiss's trilogy and Rian Johnson's trilogy set in the same time, telling the same story, but from 2 different perspectives.
That is interesting. Well, to be fair, nothing has really been confirmed about those trilogies. There's only been speculation and like some hints towards it. I think the bottom line is everyone will be watching Star Wars. No one's gonna give a crap about Avatar 2. Like the first one is only the highest grossing movie ever because it reinvented 3D. The movie itself, so many people have said it's a fine movie. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's bad. And I think that people just like to hate on it because of the fact that it is so goddamn popular and overrated, and that's why they hate on it. The movie itself is not bad. It's fine. It's not that great. It's not an Avengers Endgame or Force Awakens where those movies are great. And a lot of people are frustrated by the fact that Avatar is that highest grossing movie without much reason to be, besides the fact that it reinvented 3D. Now, the second Avatar will not have any reinvention of anything. IMAX 3D is out there. Even 4DX is out there, where you have the entire theater move with you and do stuff with you. So there's no way that Avatar 2 can do what the first one did. So I think the second Avatar will not even crack 1 billion. It might get like a few 100 million. Okay, sure, because the first one is popular and it does have some fans, but really it won't make that much. And I really doubt we'll see all the Avatar sequels realized, but we'll see.
Fair enough. And it's funny that you mention it like that, because let's say the plan is still to do Avatar 2 for sure, because as we know, we know
2 is happening.
It's happening.
When it comes out, it's still kind of an enigma because it was planned to release 2 years ago, I think.
It was actually originally planned to release in 2014.
Right?
Yeah.
What happened to that?
James Cameron.
We're 5 years later right now.
James Cameron. That's all you need to say. But
Who's James Cameron?
But here's a hypothetical, and Nico, this is where I'm going to throw it to you. Let's say Avatar 2 doesn't even bring in... Let's say Avatar 2 only brings in about 20% of the original's box office. So let's say about 300 to 400 million.
If you want to compare it to Alice in Wonderland to Alex Through the Looking Glass, Avatar 2 is looking at 800 million worldwide.
Potentially, but here. But actually, no. But let's go back to that point I brought up. Let's say it actually only was 400 worldwide. And we scrap the other 3 sequels. And then in their place, magically, voila, Rian Johnson trilogy. So we go back to having one Star Wars movie a year through the 2020s, from 2022 to 2027. And it all tells us one giant epic story of how the Jedi came to be and how the Sith came to be and how the first big battle is going to be amazing. It's okay. Sorry. Nico, thoughts?
My thoughts are, I'm with Kees in that nobody really is that interested in Avatar. The main reason...
At least not that Avatar.
Correct. The main reason why it did so well at the box office is because it was a slow year for movies that year, was it not? and also the technological advances that it was making through this 3D through the 3D technology. There was a reason behind the scenes to go see this movie, but the plot does not really garner this many sequels, let alone one sequel. So I'm of the mindset that if the second movie doesn't do well, then the other sequels might likely be scrapped. But to keep Avatar in the minds of people,
TV show.
And to show that, hey, these characters can be used well, we might see the blue creatures in Star Wars, much like we saw E.T. species in The Phantom Menace. It'll just be like a brief 5-second thing, but they'll make a cameo appearance in a future Star Wars film.
Wait, that can actually work because Pandora is an actual world in Star Wars.
It is.
and
they're blue people. Ah!
We could literally say that this species of Pantorans evolved or devolved, depending on your point of view, into the Pantorans we know today via some sort of natural occurrence.
That's interesting.
That's interesting. Well, and especially because, spoiler alert for a project I'm working on, but I'm trying to find a way to finagle xenomorphs into Star Wars. But,
Yes.
The less said about stuff that gives Nico nightmares, the better. Trust me, I'm so mad at Ryan right now. It's not even funny because I wanted nothing more than to shoot the fucking It Chapter 2 trailer with him because it dropped and I still haven't seen it because Ryan, where are you? Anyway,
There's another trailer.
Yeah, well, yeah, and there was another trailer that actually also got a reaction video. Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Yeah.
Now, Nico, I'm going to be honest. I missed Crisis on Earthplex this week. Sorry. But would you indulge me with your thoughts on the Spider-Man trailer and the multiverse thing?
So I am of the mindset that the multiverse is something that Mysterio is telling the truth about. Because if that is Nick Fury and not the Chameleon, as some people have rumored it to be, if that is Nick Fury, then he did his homework. He would probably went to the guy who was playing Galaga in the first Avengers movie, and he was like, "Hey, can you check to make sure there's no holes in our reality?" And then I was like, "There's a hole in our reality," and Nick was like, "Shit." Guess I'll call Spider-Man from Vacation.
No. Considering that it's played by Samuel L. Jackson, he posed a motherfucker.
Yes. Yes. So I think the multiverse stuff is a definite thing. Where I'm unsure of is Quentin Beck actually a hero in the Earth that he comes from, or are these elementals the characters that he's created, sort of like he's staging these battles so that he can look good in the process.
Oh, syndrome it.
Yeah, because that's what the character of Mysterio does. He is a master of special effects and deception. He knows how to manipulate scenery to his advantage, and he's also taking advantage. If his intentions are nefarious, then he's also essentially taking advantage of a vulnerable Spider-Man after, spoiler alert, Tony Stark dying. That was his mentor. That was his father figure, and now he's without one, and people are like, are you going to take over as the new Iron Man role? And Peter is he's hesitant to take on that responsibility. But here's Quentin Beck essentially to steer him in that direction or steer him in a more selfish direction, because Quentin Beck, he's essentially he's kind of picked up where Tony Stark left off in influencing Peter. It's just a matter of what kind of influence is he? Is he a good one or a bad one? And my final thought on this trailer is I love that MJ figured it out easily.
By herself.
that Peter is Spider-Man. And I also love that the characters in this universe that have so far figured out they've been able to put two and two together. It's just because they're smart. It's not because of something stupid that happened. Because how many times has, like Tobey Maguire's Peter once took off his mask in front of a train full of people. If your whole thing is about preserving your secret identity,
than my kid.
If your whole shtick is preserving your secret identity, why would you do that?
Well, he didn't really have a choice in that particular scene.
Fair, still though, and like Zaddy Smith, he'll let you know how much it bothers him that Barry Allen on the CW's The Flash has the best disguise out of literally every other superhero in that multiverse. But he keeps taking his mask off to every person who says hi to him. It drives him insane.
Hi. Hey, I'm Barry Allen.
He's like in his Flash outfit running for coffee, and he's like, "Hi, I'm Barry Allen. Can I have a mocha espresso, please?"
Oh my God.
So
well, more like 20 if you're Barry Allen. You gotta burn calories like that.
True. So I'm just happy that the people who are figuring out who Peter is, who are putting the puzzle pieces together, they have the intelligence that justifies that. MJ goes to a genius school with Peter, so it makes sense for her to be able to put two and two together.
Fair enough. Case?
I love this trailer. I really did. It looks great. It looks like exactly the type of movie we need after Endgame, because after Endgame, we need a fun Spider-Man movie that also sets up more for the future. More of the future on the planet Earth. Because like what Endgame sets up at the end is more the cosmic stuff, but not really the stuff that we're going to deal with on Earth. And I think that Spider-Man is a big role in that. And also, it sets up the multiverse, which is awesome because, as we know, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is the best Spider-Man movie. I don't care who you are, it really is. And what it does so well is it combines universes, and that's what I think we need also with this. Like, that is a doorway to so many more Marvel characters, and everyone has wanted. Like, we're only getting Mysterio and maybe one or two extra characters, but to quote Robert Meyer Burnett, "Where's Moon Knight? I want my Moon Knight." Like stuff like that. Like there are so many characters that you can still do. By the way, now that Marvel also owns Fox, this is a way to introduce the Fantastic Four or the X-Men into the universe, which also is desperately needed because what the hell is X-Men doing? Like, Apocalypse was fine, I like it, but it wasn't the best, and Dark Phoenix looks like hot garbage. So please reboot it in the MCU and make it new again, and also do the Fantastic Four well, because it's only been done in the animated version. What are you laughing at?
I have no idea what's going on.
Keep going. I'll make the joke when you're done.
All right. Anyway, there are so many possibilities right now with characters of Marvel that exist in the comic world, but that we haven't seen yet on screen, and I think would be great to have on screen with this loophole of a multiverse. And that's just very smart, I think, and that's awesome that that this movie is introducing that. So I'm very much looking forward to it.
And so we gotta make the X-Men great again. We're gonna trust Disney.
For crying out loud.
All right, sorry.
You should be ashamed of yourself for that.
Seriously, this is what you were sitting on?
You set me up, man. I'm sorry. Somebody stop me. Little Jim Carrey impression. Sorry about that. That was terrible. Anyway, I honestly don't have that many more thoughts about Spider-Man Far From Home myself, just because, like, I'm just gonna watch the movie, and I'm gonna need a good palate cleanser before we have literally almost a year-long break, because the next MCU movie's not till like May of 2020, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because I need a little break from superheroes and spandex and whatnot. But that being said, guys, we're gonna take a short break, and then we're gonna get sweaty once again, but a different kind of sweaty. We're gonna get some. We're gonna go meet some elves. We're gonna meet some dwarves. We're gonna go meet men who live to be like over 150 years old, and we're gonna go hang out with some hobbits.
What about second breakfast?
But what about second hour? All right, guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back for Lord of the Rings. We'll see you shortly.
Bentley here from Miscast Commentary. Have you been along for the ride while we've been doing the MCU commentary marathon? If not, where the have you been?
We're going to watch it the way you would have experienced it when you go into the theaters.
Yeah.
And that's how
And you would have experienced it with two assholes talking through the whole thing.
Yes.
The only person who can see the true scope of this is Galactus. He can see the end.
Yes.
That's it.
So think about that, nerds. She knows who's the boss in this house.
She's the Angeler.
Angela.
We all know Angeler was the boss.
And he is Tony, so we get that.
Exactly.
Oh, this,
Oh my god.
this
That
is
worked
so...
out well.
Join us every Friday as we present a new full-length commentary for another Marvel Cinematic Universe movie.
This has a little bit of Oz in it, too, I think. Like, not the prison, the wonderful world of...
Miscast Commentary. Join us or don't. I'm not your mom.
What was the last name of Holly's annoying coworker that gets himself killed in Die Hard?
Just need the last name.
This movie plagued me in like my first matches in my career.
By the way, the last name that we're looking for might be in this match today.
Wait a minute.
Ellis!
Ellis!
Oh, I thought you were saying Oyama.
Oh, it's Ellis!
Mr. Oyama. You know, another example, like from Hybrid Theory, on the track One Step Closer, most of that verse is actually not in the scale of the instruments, but it creates this odd sense of tension, and that's why it works as well as it does. The same thing with From the Inside. The tension just keeps building up through the verses and through the chorus until we finally hit that bridge where it's just a shit-kicking, I won't waste myself on you! You know, and it's ugh.
You have that dissonance that builds and builds and builds until finally you get
You get that
sort of
that,
release. Yeah,
you get that payoff, and it hits you like a ton of bricks.
To work with. The writers probably described in the screenplay that it needed to be very dark and very blurry all throughout. So
Desperate.
yeah, and what I also think is that it was just desperate to compare to Lord of the Rings, to Helm's Deep. Well, I'm like, you shouldn't do that. You should make your own battle. This show has delivered us some great battles. Don't compare it to something like Lord of the Rings. Anyway, that's my biggest issue. I will still say it's a good episode overall. Like good visual effects, well produced and whatnot. It's just a couple of issues. Your thoughts, overall thoughts, a little bit of.
So, hey guys, welcome back to the second half of the show. So, a thought came to me because I had to hit the restroom during the break, and something very unfortunate happened to me because I started laughing while I was trying to take care of business, and part of that was because as I'm doing my thing, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I should probably apologize to all the audio listeners who would have heard my huge ass belch in the first hour of the show. So yes, to all of the audio listeners, I'm sorry. I am sorry. I am sorry.
I am not.
Fair enough. But yeah, okay. So here's basically how the second half of the show is going to work. Kees and I are gonna do our thing, but and Nico, you're basically gonna just sort of hang out in the chat. But and to be fair, Nico, at any point during the conversation, if you have questions, either for yourself or from you guys in the chat, bring them in. Bring them on in. Lord of the Rings related, obviously. But
for the record, I can't really monitor the chat because I'm still working on this website. So
I have it open.
All right. Kees has
Guys,
it open.
if you have any questions about our opinions, our thoughts on Lord of the Rings, whatever, Lord of the Rings, period, any stuff that confuses you, just ask in the chat.
Feel free to ask. We are here to help. We are here to help.
Because we are kind of some self-claimed experts on the matter.
Yeah. I mean, now to be fair, are we Stephen Colbert or Rachel Cushing? Not necessarily, because I've only actually read the books about 3 times each, and that was a long time ago. I really needed to make the time to just reread them because they're such great books. But
and I haven't read them.
Even though
I've read 100 pages.
Yes.
Of the first book.
Yes. And I'm glad you enjoyed them. For the most part.
Oh yeah. It's just really, really, really detailed.
Yes, it is. Well, and you know what? Here. So let's start this off from here. You're gonna understand why that is the minute you guys watch Tolkien, the movie. Because Tolkien was essentially his big thing was he loved languages. That's what he studied when he went to Oxford. He studied all kinds of languages, and he made up his own languages, since before World War I. He created Elvish around the time of like 1914, 1915, as he was doing his college studies, because, he just loved language. And then he built the stories of the Lord of the Rings sort of through by way of his wife, Edith Bratt, who played wonderfully by Lily Collins. I just want to put that out there right now. And yes, Nicholas Hoult as Tolkien, perfect casting. Hit the nail on the head. So I adore that. But, Kees, let's start this off. What is it about Lord of the Rings, especially the trilogy, that just draws us in and makes us love it so much?
Well, I was introduced to Lord of the Rings a little later than most people, I assume. I was introduced to it in like 2007-ish, around that time. Because, my mom, my sister, and me, that's the thing. My dad had died in 1999, and my mom didn't remarry at any point. We were very much into Harry Potter. We didn't care for Lord of the Rings that much yet. But then my mom met a new guy, and he was very much into Lord of the Rings, and he wanted to make it a yearly tradition to watch Lord of the Rings on Christmas every year. So 2006 or 2007, I'm not entirely sure. We watched all 3 movies for the first time, and I was hooked simply because it is first of all, I'm a big fantasy guy. I love all these fantasy worlds, like Harry Potter, Star Wars, Game of Thrones, the MCU, all kinds of worlds that exist in movies that can never exist in the real world, but it's just lovely to see it in movies, to really delve into that world, completely lose yourself in it. And the reason why I kept coming back to it, and I still come back to it to this day, is not only is the world so well created, the acting is good, the directing is good, everything about the movie, how the movie is made, is so good. The effects hold up better than a lot of the movies nowadays, simply because it knew when to use CG or green screen and when to actually use actual people. They got so many extras to play elves, orcs. Seriously, the amount of makeup they needed to do on those people to just have an army of orcs and elves and dwarves and all kinds of stuff to create this world, it is insane. And this And not only that, this movie trilogy essentially redefined the fantasy genre in general. Like the way that this showed new stuff that we've never seen before in fantasy movies, it was crazy. And you see the influence of these movies everywhere in movies after that were made after this that used the fantasy element. So I just love everything about it, and I don't think there are that much flaws in this trilogy. Like where with like for example with the Star Wars movies, as much as I love those movies, there are a couple of flaws, and most importantly, those movies weren't meant as a trilogy. The Lord of the Rings movies were always meant as a trilogy. You cannot stop at Fellowship. You cannot stop at Two Towers. You have to continue watching from Fellowship to Two Towers to Return of the King to see the entire trilogy unfold, because that's what it is. It is a trilogy of movies with a continuous story, and a lot of people consider it one movie. Where in the case of a lot of other trilogies, you can be one and done or two and done. Usually with other movies, they make the trilogy as they go along. Like, oh, the first one was successful, let's make another one. And sometimes the second one can be very good and build upon the first one, and even the third can be good. But usually it's not the plan. These movies were made with the plan to make the full trilogy at one go, release it in 2001, 2002, 2003, all at one go, and it works so goddamn perfectly. So yeah, I love this trilogy.
Well, and for me, this is my favorite trilogy of all time because it came out for me at the time when my imagination was kicking into overdrive. Because I did see all of these movies in theaters with my dad. And growing up, that was one of our things for bonding. And, you know, in many ways, and I feel like I really should start thanking him a little more often in person, but I do thank him almost every day for all the movies that we saw when I was a kid together, because that's what, you know, helped shape a lot of my childhood and a lot of my love for film. You know, and sure, are there nitpicks that I have with every one of these movies? Yeah, of course, because it might be no such thing as a perfect movie. There's always something that doesn't necessarily work for you. But does that change how I view these movies? Fuck no. I mean, Jesus Christ. One of my top 5 favorite moments in all of cinema comes from this franchise. And from a movie that I know you and I have slightly different opinions on. But it's still amazing nonetheless. And that's how these films are to me. They are truly genuine, wonderful pieces of art. And then that's never going to change in my book. So let's dive on in then, shall we?
Yes.
So let's start it off with the one that came out, I believe it was December 16th, 2001. Although somebody correct me in the chat if I'm off by a day or two, I'd appreciate it. Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring. Now, because I want to, make sure each film gets about 10, 15 minutes of conversation, so we're going to keep it just a little bit shorter tonight, although I can guarantee you there will be episodes in the future of this podcast where we'll just take one of those films, one of each of these films, and just dissect the fuck out of it. So we're going to keep it a little bit broad tonight. But so just, and speaking of that, just in terms of the broad, I'm going to start off with what I think this movie does the best out of the trilogy. And that is one-on-one sword fights. Oh my God. Moria and the final battle at the end of the movie are two of the best sword fights I've ever seen in film. They're filled with so much tension. They are filled with so much excitement. The music, composed brilliantly by Howard Shore, gives us so many wonderful and unique moments. And the great thing is, every character has a moment to shine in both of these sequences. Well, minus Frodo, but we'll get there in a moment. And notice how I phrase that wording. One-on-one fighting. And it's especially true when Aragorn takes on Lurtz at the end. Honestly, that fight to me is it stacks up with even the best of the duels in the Star Wars movies, in my opinion. In terms of the choreography, in terms of the intensity, plus, fun fact, that when Lurtz throws the dagger at Viggo Mortensen, Aragorn, that was a complete accident. But Viggo...
the dagger, and he fends it off.
Yeah. Complete accident, but it's still amazing.
Oh, yeah. Or when he throws the shield at him.
Woo, lordy. It's awesome.
It's really brutal. Now, what Fellowship... Look, and I'm talking about the extended version. I don't care about the theatrical cut, because the extended version just does everything that the theatrical cut does, but better. Just, it expands on so much. What the extended cut of this movie does so well is set up everything the way that Tolkien intended. Because what I instantly noticed the first time that I watched the extended cut compared to the theatrical cut, because the first couple of times that I watched the movie, I did watch theatrical. Then I went to extended, and once you go extended, you never go back. You really don't.
No.
With the extended cut, what I really noticed is how much detail Tolkien poured into his work, where he really wanted to flesh out the hobbits as a race, to show what the hobbits are as a race, to completely understand what eventually our main characters are like. Because the main characters are Frodo and Sam. They are going to destroy the One Ring. And to understand how big that is for them, like how big that part is for them, you need to understand what they are as a species, as hobbits. So they do take a lot of time to flesh out the hobbits. Now, in the book, it takes for fucking ever. In the movie, it also takes quite a while. Of course, less, because it's a movie. But in the end, it really does matter. And I'm not just talking about the hobbits. It also sets up just every one of these characters. And throughout, as the movies go on, you get more into, especially like the human race, because the humans really get fleshed out more in the second and third one.
Yes.
But we at least get a lot of the elves. We go to Rivendell, we go to Lothlorien, we see who Galadriel is, who Elrond is, these important characters that have actually been there since the dawn of time, it seems. At least they have been there since the beginning, since the one battle for the One Ring, when they faced Sauron and Elendil killed Sauron, essentially. No, not Elendil.
Isildur.
Isildur, right. My bad. I misspoke.
Okay.
But yeah, like that Elrond went through that. It just how it sets up the world. It shows all these locations where we have an elven kingdom, a hobbit part of the world. Not yet the men, because you get that in the rest of the movies, and you get it, all right.
Oh. And we'll get there in a moment.
Yeah, and we get to Moria, a great dwarven kingdom, but of course overrun by orcs and goblins, with arguably one of the most iconic scenes out of the entire trilogy, out of cinema period, with "You Shall Not Pass," with the Balrog of Morgoth. Like, holy shit, that's just awesome. So yeah, this movie does so much at setting up. But also just setting up the world and just giving you an idea of the scope of the world, of what is possible in this world. And you're like, oh, this is so awesome. I'm in for this. Because you get elves, you get wizards, you get hobbits, but you believe it. It is so believable. And just the way they did that, it's amazing.
Absolutely. Jonathan Beck, thank you for correcting me. December 19th. That's right. I got my date. Date mixed up, so thank you for that. I appreciate that. And I also forgot to mention that the actors, speaking of Star Wars, the actor's actually trained with Bob Anderson, who was the Darth Vader fight double on Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
Nice.
Which, yeah, that's awesome. Now, speaking of Jonathan Peck, I actually sent something in the chat. Kees, I want you to take
see it.
Yeah.
It is so awesome.
That is fucking cool.
That is so cool. Jonathan Peck, I salute you. That's awesome.
What did he send?
So,
just a picture of him with Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah. What he told me was that he last year he attended his first film festival, and during a screening of Green Book, how funny, a movie I can't stand, but dude, awesome. That is fucking cool that you met Viggo there. That's incredible.
Hey, say what you will about Green Book. Viggo was great in that movie.
He was. He totally earned the Oscar nom. I'm never gonna argue that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and speaking of, okay, Case, correct me if I'm wrong. You and I have the same favorite character in these movies, don't we?
Yes, we do.
We do. So let's dive in that for a moment. Why is Aragorn our favorite character in this series of films?
Well, first of all, he has just some of the most badass moments in all of cinema. Like, seriously, the moment that he shows up to save the hobbits on Weathertop, he throws a torch at one of the wraiths, and it's just like, awesome! However, he is also flawed. He doesn't want to be the king. He knows that he is the one in the line to become the new king, but he doesn't want to. From the first movie, that is clear. However, you do know, especially with the title Return of the King, you know he's going to ascend to that position. But the way that you see his character arc, where he is struggling, in the second movie he gets a lot against him, where he is actually like thrown off a goddamn cliff and almost dies. There's so much against him becoming that king that, not only him, but also all the characters around him are really questioning, is this really the guy that we want as our king? But then you see Return of the King and what he goes through in that movie, and that you're like, yes, this is the right king.
This is the guy.
Him. Like, even though mankind as a...
Sorry, as Scott Mance would say, that's him! That's the guy!
Yeah, but like in the movies, you like, he has so many great moments, and some just in battles that he does so many great things, funny things also. But yeah, he's in the first two movies, he's really the unlikely choice. But then in that third movie, he really rises to the occasion. He does everything right, and you're like, this is the guy that we need to make sure that mankind can actually get better. Because we see throughout the movies that mankind is suffering, struggling, trying to search for a leader, definitely not finding it a goddamn Denethor.
And we'll get there.
We'll get there. But yeah, Aragorn is he's so cool, but also because of the fact that you see the character struggle, and of course he has a great and very interesting love story going on with Arwen, which you love.
And well, so first off, one of the reasons I love him is because I love his backstory. And it's kind of funny. I've only read the books themselves about 3 times a piece, but I've read the appendices dozens of times. I know this guy's backstory like the back of my hand. Son of Arathorn the second, son of Aragorn the first, and of course, Eredor. My apologies. And Eredor is killed by mountain trolls in their home in the northern woods of the Dunedain region, and then of course his father Arathorn is shot in the eye in a battle with orcs, and he has such this tragic backstory. Then his mother takes him to Elrond, and he lives in Rivendell, where he's then given the name Estelle, meaning hope. And it's like you said,
that's yet another name he has. He has so many goddamn names.
Aragorn, Strider, Aelisair, Estelle.
The list goes on.
The list goes on. And one of my favorite tropes, and this is partially due to my love of Westerns, which I think my love of Westerns kind of came from Aragorn now that I think about it, is I love the underdog character who knows he can do great things, but he doesn't have the confidence to do it until the opportunity actually forces him to finally go for it. And you see that with Aragorn time and time again, where, like, King Theoden, for fuck's sakes, views him as an equal. Not as somebody below him, but he even says, Lord Aragorn, several times throughout Two Towers and Return of the King, because he sees that man, he's like...
Well, and that's because you have that moment in Two Towers where Eowyn says, my father says that you rode to a war with Thengol, my grandfather. And Aragorn is like, it's impressive that your father remembers that. He was only a small boy. Huh? What? At that point, you're like, how old is this guy?
87.
Oh. What? How is he 87? Well,
Got to use that moisturizer.
Ah! Yes, that Dunedain moisturizer that works wonderful magic. And the other thing about him is every single subtle nuance that Viggo brought to the performance is what convinced me that, hey, you know what? Maybe I want to give this whole acting thing a shot. Because every time that I would see the character on screen, I wouldn't see an actor reading lines and swinging a sword and doing it in a with a good sense of rhythm and timing. No, I just saw this. I saw Aragorn, and I saw a man struggling so mightily with the identity crisis from hell. Because even though he does a great job of hiding it, he has so much stacked against him as a character. Because he knows that he can go on to do great things, but he doesn't want to actually try it because, well, his line is viewed as a gigantic failure. In a way, oh shit, I actually had a really great Star Wars comparison for this, but I lost it. Damn it. So I'm trying to think of no, never mind. No, duh. Hello. Okay. It's like with Luke in The Last Jedi. He had such a failure on such an epic level that it pretty much cost the galaxy. Isildur did the same thing by refusing to throw the ring into Mount Doom. Because by doing that, he Mount Doomed the rest of Middle Earth. Ha ha ha. Thank you. Here all week.
Yeah.
But it's the quest of the Fellowship that finally convinces him to clear his family name and to prove that there is more to men than simple corruption. That's why Aragorn is my favorite character out of these movies.
Yeah.
So we're still on Fellowship for a brief moment here. And we kind of have gone over the basics of why we love it, but I'm just curious, Kees, is there a couple things in this movie that, as great as it is, don't necessarily work for you?
No, Fellowship is my 15th favorite movie of all time. I don't really have anything against it. It's my second favorite Lord of the Rings movie, so...
That's right.
This movie is amazing.
And for me, it's the quote-unquote weakest of the trilogy, but that's scraping the bottom of the...
pretty damn awesome.
Exactly. Like, because my only quote-unquote issue is that the first time I saw the extended cut was literally the first time I saw the extended cut, because I've seen the theatrical cut God knows how many times. Way too many times to count. And I just wasn't used to the extra hour, so it took me a lot longer than I would have wanted to just get used to that pacing. But the more that I discover about the extended cut, which I finally have on Blu-ray, and I intend to take full advantage of that as the years continue, I hope that I can just get over that. So now let's move on to my favorite of the trilogy.
My least favorite.
And
again, that's not saying much.
Again, it's not saying much because it's still an amazing movie.
Yes, it is. It really is.
Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. Case, you know what? Here, then let's start off with the things that don't necessarily work for us, and then we'll finish this movie with stuff with praising it. So,
I don't remember exactly what I dislike specifically about it. It's more that it seems to be the in-between movie to me, where a couple of things are like, yeah, we're doing stuff that doesn't really go that far, because we still need the third movie. That's kind of my main issue. My only issue, and it's really not that big of an issue that I have because I need to look up my letterbox list. Okay, Two Towers is 23. That's the thing. All three Lord of the Rings movies are in my top 25 of all time because I love these movies so goddamn much. And yeah, Two Towers might be my least favorite, but it's still so awesome. That my only gripe with it is that this one is the one that kind of slightly drags, and I don't want to insult anyone with that because it really doesn't.
Well,
but it's like the one gripe I would have with it.
And to be fair, you're kind of onto
also,
something there. Oh, sorry.
And also, a lot of people praise the Battle for Helm's Deep, and I think it is a really well done battle, but I think it has been done better, and that's where a lot of people disagree with me.
And here's the thing. Actually, then real fast. In that regard, it has been done better, but for my personal enjoyment, I have never seen better. And I'll get more into that in a moment here.
Fair enough.
But I'm actually going to get into something that actually does kind of bug me, and that is, which again, it's funny. Favorite one in the franchise, but all, like, in particular, the Entmoot scenes. To me,
yeah, that definitely drags.
They go on way too long, and I'm not a fan of the cinematography of this scene specifically. Because every time we get a close up on Mary, we get just the ugliest angles. Like, okay.
He looks so angry and brooding.
Well, and now, granted, that's lighting, and that's Dominic Monaghan's acting. And granted, it's not that he's not portraying it well, but the way it's shot just looks way too ugly. And we had the same problem in Fellowship that happened a lot, where there were just random shots that really didn't do the cast any favors. But, again, we had a great cast to make up for that. And speaking of, I can't believe we actually forgot to really talk about the rest of the characters. Because, yeah, we've only really spent time on Aragorn, and...
Okay, yeah, that's our favorite character, but there are so many fair ones.
That's true. Although, Gimli, let's be fair here. Gimli's best moments are in Two Towers, arguably.
Yes, and you know what the most annoying thing is? That the theatrical cut out probably his best moment in the entire movie, which is the moment where Legolas and Gimli face each other about the kill count. And Legolas is like, final count, 42. 42? That's not bad for an Elvish-eyed princeling. I myself am sitting pretty on 43. And then Legolas is like, what do I need? I need to do something. And he shoots the orc that Gimli is sitting on. And he's like, he was already dead. He was twitching. He was twitching because he's got my axe embedded in his nervous system. Best fucking thing ever.
Oh my god. Yes.
And that's cut out of the theatrical content. Oh my god.
No.
Like, would you like me to find you a box?
Yes. I forgot to mention this franchise is two of my favorite laughs in all of film. One is, of course, Gimli doing that. And then my other one is actually back from Fellowship of the Ring, where Gandalf has this weird laugh that's oddly in time with the music, because he goes something like to the effect of like, And I'm like,
when he left with Frodo, yeah.
yeah,
at the
and
beginning.
like with the fireworks and whatnot. I'm just like, oh my god, this is ridiculous, but I love it. So with the rest of the cast, like, and granted, and no disrespect to anybody, because they're all pretty great. I can't really think of a bad performance.
Performance-wise, no.
Well,
Right? Something else.
I was to say, and we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yes. Well, okay. Look, if we want to go into character writing, I'm not the biggest fan of Frodo. The reason that I care about the storyline is because of Sam. Sam is the one that gives like everything to that storyline. But Frodo himself, look, nothing against Elijah Wood, but just the writing of Frodo, I'm not a fan of in this movie.
Especially in Fellowship of the Ring.
Because he can be just a really annoying dickwad.
At times, yeah. And granted, now, once we get into Two Towers, it starts to make sense because we're starting to see how the ring is really corrupting him. And then in Return of the King, it's as all-time just.
Yeah, when you see his neck completely destroyed by the ring.
But, you know, and again, it's nothing against Elijah because he's so good.
Yeah, and especially if you watch behind-the-scenes footage of him actually really getting into, like, the accent as well, because Elijah is full-on American. He needs to completely change his accent, and when I hear him in Lord of the Rings, I'm like, you sound completely different from how you do in real life, so props to him.
Absolutely. You know, and shit, and going back to my point with Dominic Monaghan and Billy Boyd as Merry and Pippin, they also have one of my favorite moments in this movie, which is when Pippin actually tricks Treebeard into heading toward Isengard and thus leading to the Ent invasion. Because it's something that you wouldn't expect an idiot like Pippin to actually have a great moment like that.
And that starts Pippin having a character.
Because first movie, none whatsoever.
Second movie starts, third movie, all of it.
Oh my god. I'm trying to remember, who did we compare or who did I compare Pippin to last week on the podcast from Endgame?
Who's only Nebula?
Yes. Because again, she had no arc in Guardians 1, and then Guardians 2 they start work doing something there, and then Endgame she steals the show.
Yeah.
And Billy Boyd has the same effect, and that's why he's so great. But so we got our I think sort of quasi against Two Towers. Now let's fanboy about it. Case, start me off.
What is not to love? We get to the men realm of Rohan with so many great characters. Cole Urban as Eomer is so great in these movies. Miranda Otto as Eowyn. Oh wait, I suddenly remember another issue I have. Her singing at Thengel's. No, not Thengel. Theodred's funeral. Yeah, Theodred's funeral in the Two Towers in the extended cut. I'm not a fan of her singing.
Throws me off.
Yeah. So that's a small issue, but otherwise she is great as Eowyn. Bernard Hill as Theoden. Oh my god, that's a character. What?
No, I'm saying,
Yes. Okay, right?
Yeah.
He's so great as the character. And, you understand his struggle as a king because he is trying to figure out what is best for his people. And that's also what Aragorn says. Like, a couple of people are questioning him, and he's even questioning himself before the final battle. Like, am I doing the right thing? He really doesn't know, but...
Oh, that's right. He's talking about gambling, yeah.
Yeah, but he is doing the right thing for his people. He does try to defend them and in the best way possible. And just Helm's Deep. Like, look, it might not be my favorite battle on screen presented, but God, is it great? That entire battle is just, oh my God, what they did with that. The amount of people that they put in costumes as I said already, the amount of people that they put into costumes for these things, as orcs, as elves, as people, to actually. And you have the great build-up to the battle where, first of all, they arrive, then they settle in, all of them figure out if they can fight or not, if they have a sword that they can fight with, or maybe use a bow and arrow. And then you get the moment that the elves come in, and God, just everything about the battle. It's just so great.
I do not care if you give me evidence that there is a better battle and that I'm stupid for loving Helm's Deep as much as I do. Shut up.
To be fair, you haven't seen Battle of the Bastards yet of Game of Thrones. You should see that at least.
Sure, and when I get caught up, I will. But I do not care. This is my all-time favorite battle in film because, in my opinion, it's perfectly paced. From the moment that the orcs or that the Uruk-hai start showing up, to when the Uruk-hai leader standing on top of the rock tells them all to stop, to where every single archer now has their bows ready to go, and the old man with an eye missing just he can't hold on forever, so he lets go, and the battle officially starts, and then bam, out come the ladders, out comes the bombs, because literally, think about this:
the bomb.
If the bomb doesn't happen, way less people die.
Yeah.
Because the orcs...
This battle would have been completely different. That's the thing. Like, they have essentially two plans to breach Helm's Deep. One is the bomb. The other is them breaching the gate. If the bomb doesn't work, they only have the breaching of the gate left because the ladders are doing not that much damage.
No. Because, thank God we have main characters with plot armor who are going through and fighting. And yeah, I've heard a lot of people bitch about the Battle of Helm's Deep because the characters have too much plot armor and who cares about that one blonde-haired guy? Shut up.
Eldir, by the way.
I know. I'm just doing my troll voice though for that though.
I know. But his character name is Heldir. Remember him.
Because he sacrificed a lot.
Yeah.
To remember alliance once existed between elves and men. And they were there to honor that allegiance, motherfuckers. Don't you fucking forget that.
Yeah.
And, then, of course, at first light on the 5th day, out comes motherfucking Gandalf the White, who is arguably one of the best characters in the entire series. And
by the way, brilliantly performed.
Brilliantly performed by Magneto.
Yeah. Not the best Magneto, in my opinion.
Really?
Fassbender.
Nico, real fast. Fassbender or McLellan for you as Magneto?
I just remember more from Fassbender than I do from McLellan, simply because like the movies that Fassbender have been in are more recent than McLellan. So
plus,
it's not really a fair comparison, but that's where I'm going.
Look, to be fair, in the movies that Fassbender is in, he is more a focus point of the movie, where the movies where McLellan is in, they focus more on Wolverine.
Fair point. Fair point. I just think for what he's given, McLellan does more, but
no,
that's a fair point. But yeah, fucking Ian McLellan. Like, literally, I remember when I saw this in theaters for the first time. I looked at my dad and I'm just like, wait, but that's Magneto. Why is he a good guy?
Yeah.
But
by the way, well, I always compared. I always was like, let's think. All right. In X-Men, Ian McKellen is a bad guy. In Star Wars, Christopher Lee is a bad guy. But in Lord of the Rings, Christopher Lee is still a bad guy, and Ian McKellen is the good guy.
And I'm glad you set me up for that, because I knew I wanted to hit this character before we hit Return of the King. How fucking amazing is Christopher Lee as Saruman?
Oh yes. And how much of an atrocity is it that they cut out his death scene out of the theatrical cut? It is an atrocity.
To be fair, the movie was already 200 minutes. I'm not saying I agree with it, but they had to cut things, unfortunately, and that was just one of them.
It was because of a spat between Christopher Lee and Peter Jackson, because of the fact that the moment that Christopher Lee found out he had no screen time in Return of the King, he was like, "What the fuck?" And then Peter Jackson was like, "Yeah, we're not going to give you any screen time." Okay.
Really? Yeah, dicks.
But that's how you finish off like one of the greatest villains in cinema. Okay.
I mean, it's a dumb choice, but it's a choice.
At least there's this extended cut.
Yes, there is, which redeems that.
And that's the thing. Like, I love Return of the King, like theatrical cut. But after seeing the extended cut, I'm like, I will never, ever be able to watch that theatrical cut again. Because that's the thing. Return of the King has a complete hour of scenes added to it.
So does Fellowship.
I'm not sure. But anyway, with Return of the King, I completely feel almost every scene that they cut out of the theatrical cut that I'm like, how can you cut this out of your movie? But okay.
Yeah. So, any final points we want to hit before we hit Return of the King?
I like the March of the Ants on Isengard. That's pretty cool.
Yes, it is. Oh, dude. Oh my God. How did we forget to say this? Andy Serkis.
Oh, yes, of course. I mean, recently I rewatched the Planet of the Apes movies with him as Caesar. So, yeah, Andy Serkis is the master, the grandfather of motion capture, anything. And it is because of Gollum. Like, what he did as Gollum, like, it's still, like, I know that in the first movie, at least Ian McLellan was nominated for Gandalf, but why the hell was no one nominated for acting performances in the second or the third? I know that the second and the third were nominated for a lot and won a lot of Oscars, but acting performances, no way. It's like, where was Andy Serkis or Viggo Mortensen or Sean fucking Astin? Like, there were so many performances that you could have nominated and they didn't, and it's like, what?
What? But, you know, and to be fair, I think for at least one of those years, it was a pretty tough competition. But still, what? Why, people? Why?
At least Two Towers got visual effects.
This is true, and thank God. Let's get into this. Best Picture winner at the 2004 Academy Awards, The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King.
And my second favorite movie of all time.
My second favorite movie of this franchise. And granted, again, this is not to blemish it. This is not to say anything bad about it. I have my nitpicks, and we'll get there in a moment.
No, it's fair enough. I know what it is, by the way.
Yeah, of course you know what it is, because I've harped on this a million times. But you know what? I don't mind having this conversation ad nauseum, just because I want to be proven wrong. But I want to change my mind, but I have too much evidence against myself to really change my mind on that, if that makes sense.
I know.
But let's get into this. Inarguably one of the greatest battle sequences of all time.
My favorite.
Combined of the Battle of Minas Tirith / the Battle of Pelennor Fields.
Yes.
It's so fucking amazing. Case,
this is
out.
Where it completely blew my mind. Where, like, because I love I still love, and I already loved the Battle of Helm's Deep the first time I saw it, because I was like, 10,000 orcs. That is so much. This goes way beyond anything you knew. 10,000? No. 600,000 orcs with trolls and elephants and just everything they can throw at you. It's like, holy shit. And it's because of also the design of Minas Tirith. Seriously, I orgasm every time I see it. The design of Minas Tirith alone as a goddamn city is just so gorgeous that I'm like, oh my god.
Irina,
also,
please comment down below if that really happens.
Yeah, she knows. She's been there. We've watched the movies together twice. So yeah. But seriously, every time that you get that moment of Gandalf with Pippin riding to Minas Tirith, and you get that shot of Minas Tirith, I'm like, ah! And you freak out, and you see them climb up the levels, and you realize how big this city is. It is insane. Also, the lighting of the beacon scene, all of it. That's mostly due to Howard Shore's score, like how great that is, because that really makes that scene. No, but if you really go to the battle itself, it's 600,000 orcs standing there with everything they have to just destroy the world of men, and the men are trying to defend themselves, but you have so many moments where like. The men fire catapults, it does hardly any damage. The orcs fire catapults, the city gets destroyed. You have that moment of Gandalf, you are a man of Gondor, whatever comes through the door, stand your ground. And then you see the trolls, and you see the look in Gandalf's eyes, like, oh shit.
Yeah,
like,
they're here.
Huh?
They're trying. They're really trying to just destroy us.
They're trying, but yeah, you have no chance. Also, the wolf's head gets brought up. I believe they call it Grand. And then, yeah, seriously, you see the orcs pass so many levels, and Gothmog says, move into the city, kill all in your path. And you're just like, how are they going to survive this? And I got my favorite scene in cinema history, which, by the way, you can see my reaction to that on the Take 3 channel when we did that. The Rohirrim showing up at Pelennor Fields. It is my official favorite scene of cinema, because everything about it works so fucking well. It is set up throughout the movie where already we see the Rohirrim gathering at Dunharrow. I believe it's called. And then they go there and they show up, and everything about that scene just works. However, they attack, and they're not done yet, because then the Oliphants, come in, and you're like, oh shit, this is going to be another hurdle. But in the meantime, Aragorn, and this is also sad. That's the thing. There are so many things that are like need to come into the battle to make sure that the men actually win this battle, that it's all set up throughout the movie, and it is set up, and the way it's set up, it's brilliant. Because Aragorn actually convinced the army of the dead to fight for them, because that will release them of their oath. And they come in, and that actually wins the battle. And you also get one of the greatest Gimli Legolas moments when Legolas takes out the elephant, and he's like, "That still only counts as one." Yes. Yeah, like that entire battle sequence is just my favorite ever. Okay, besides Star Wars. Star Wars is different though, because this is more just on the ground compared to in space.
Yeah.
So it's like very, very difficult to compare a fantasy world in the Middle Ages, or at least that's what we're supposed to believe. Dragons and stuff. That's what Lord of the Rings is compared to a fantasy sci-fi element in space with Star Wars. So yeah. I prefer this battle over Helm's Deep, even though I do have immense respect for Helm's Deep.
Yeah, and let's be fair here. Pelennor Fields, from a scale perspective, blows Helm's Deep so far out of the water, you don't even notice it. But My favorite moment in this entire franchise, and this movie in particular, is actually not from Pelennor Fields, even though, goddamn if that's not a close second. Especially at the mere delivery Bernard Hill gives when he's shouting at the top of his lungs,
Death!
Death! Death! Just, I. But no, what it is when Aragorn takes all the remaining soldiers to march on the Black Gate.
Yes.
And they're
Now,
greeted for him.
That speech is better.
Oh, that speech no. Théoden's speech is better. In my opinion.
In my opinion, Aragorn's speech is better.
Fair enough.
Just the speech, not the scene, but the speech.
Fair enough. But what it is for me, because the whole attack is just a diversion.
Yeah.
Because Frodo and Sam are there. They're on the slopes of Mount Doom. They just have to get up to the top and drop this fucking thing and destroy the ring and save the world. But out come 10,000 orcs out of the Black Gate, and the mouth of Sauron is there taunting Aragorn and everybody.
Yay for that extended scene, by the way.
Yay for that extended scene. I'm glad I finally seen that now.
Yeah.
But what I have to say, and this is honest to God, in my top 5 favorite moments of cinema, the music drops, it's a slow motion shot, and all you hear is Sauron taunt Aragorn. Aragorn, Elessar. And then Aragorn draws his sword, takes one look at Gandalf, and just whispers, "For Frodo." And then charges like a motherfucking badass, and you're just like, oh. Okay, I need to change your pants. Not literally, but.
And by the way, what is one of the best moments about that is that after Aragorn, Merry and Pippin charge, and then everyone else catches up to them.
Oh, shit. Speaking of Aragorn, I forgot to mention my other favorite Aragorn moment in this entire franchise. And it's at Helm's Deep. There may be a dwarf involved.
Oh.
Toss me.
Toss me.
What? I cannot... Oh, sorry. Go on, please.
I cannot jump the distance. You have to toss me.
All right.
Don't tell the elf.
Not a word. And Aragorn, as he jumps, gives the most badass scream I've ever heard in my life. As he and Gimli just go around and take out a shit ton of orcs. But again,
now, okay, and I do want to say something
Please.
against every fucking hater about the ending of Return of the King. All of them are warranted.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't think that all of them are warranted, you are not invested in the franchise, and you can fuck off for all I care. Because honestly, at that point, you have spent about 11 hours with these people. And for some people, a lot more because they have read the books and have been waiting for the film for that long. The ending that they do, yeah, it's all needed to end all the character arcs, not just the one for Frodo, also the one for Aragorn, also the one for the elves. What happened to the elves? Because seriously, if they had ended it just with Minas Tirith, there would have been a lot of questions left unanswered. So with them ending, they end the stuff like, okay, Aragorn is crowned king, he marries Arwen, Faramir and Eowyn get together, yay. The hobbits go back to Hobbiton. You really need all this. You need to see, that's the thing. Also, one of the biggest questions that probably this trilogy has asked, will Sam get together with Rosie Cotton? Yes, he does.
Rosie
and he actually has kids.
Johnson.
Yeah.
And one of those kids is played by his own kid.
That's true. And the thing is, we see that they have kids. They have a home together. They build a family together. What about Frodo? What happens to Frodo now? He goes into the Undying Lands. He can't stay with them. and it breaks your heart, and it makes everyone tear up, and it makes me cry every goddamn time, because, and especially when you see Sam, it's like, oh no, it just destroys you.
I can't remember for exactly how long I cried that night.
Oh, you cried so hard.
But it was well over 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, to be fair, we were all crying at that point because we all were just like, oh no. It was beautiful though.
And we had a great accomplishment for charity. So
that is also true.
And so with that, I'm going to quickly get my nitpick out of the way, because I actually had
a character.
And it's one character. Now, to be fair, I feel like I have a valid reason for why I feel the way that I do.
Mm-hmm.
And before I saw Return of the King, I had finally read all 3 of the books. And in the books, I got the sense from the character of Denethor that at one time he truly was a noble man. See what I did there?
By the way, it's very punny because in the first movie, Boromir says that his father is a nobleman, but really the only thing noble about him is the last name of the actor.
Yeah,
John Noble.
Yes, who actually is a total badass, and I would love to shake his hand someday. And you get the sense in the books that Denethor really was actually a noble person who loved both of his sons equally. But that was while their mother was alive.
Yeah.
And
also, like, something that really the movie really skims over, and especially the theatrical edition doesn't show anything of this. Faramir wanted to be a wizard's pupil. The moment that he knew about wizards, he wanted to do that. And that's why he pursued that, while Denethor was like, you're a man, you're not a wizard, you will never be a wizard. So that really drove them apart.
Yeah.
And there's only a brief mention of that in the extended edition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, it's all over the books, luckily. But and again, John Noble portrays the character well. But I hate how he was adapted, because you never got that sense that at one time in this man's life, he actually was a good person. We just get douchebag 100% of the time. Now, granted. If you want to believe this is PJ sort of making fun of, the current political climate at the time, that's not entirely true, but there is an argument that can be made. At least with the way it comes across. Because Lord of the Rings, for as great as the war stuff is in those movies, it's kind of an anti-war film at times. Which is the point, because, Tolkien was inspired by this during World War I, which was kind of the worst possible time to be alive. Just saying. So, yeah, that's kind of where my main issue just with this movie is. And because Denethor plays such a huge part in the first 2 hours of the extended cut, of course, second half, not so much. Because he kind of has the funniest death you'll ever see.
He has a great death. Yeah.
Yeah. But that said... sorry.
Look, I just want to say, I don't mind Denethor that much because of the fact that the Lord of the Rings, and this is something that George R. R. Martin has said about it. George R. R. Martin loves Lord of the Rings, but he has an issue with how clear-cut good and evil it is. There are good characters, there are evil characters. There's not a whole lot of gray stuff in between. And that's what he wanted to change with Game of Thrones, where in Game of Thrones, A Song of Ice and Fire, I should really say, he wrote those books. The show is different. But yeah, it really shows that George R. R. Martin wanted to create something that is more in the gray area, where people can have good sides about them but turn out bad, or where people have bad sides about them but can really be good. And in Lord of the Rings, it's really clear cut. That's why Denethor is clear cut evil or bad.
Yeah.
Or really the tragic Shakespearean character that you think at one point probably could have had something, and he was probably let down by a lot of things, or had a lot of tragic things happen to him in his life. The only thing is the movies can only go into that much. And honestly, I don't care that much about the fact that the movie doesn't go into it, because despite him being an important character in part of Return of the King, other than that, he doesn't really do that much. So I don't really care that much.
And that's fair. And like I said, I only had that expectation because I had read the book first.
Fair enough.
And but that doesn't change the awesomeness of these movies. And as we start to wind this down, Kees, I'm actually going to ask you, give me your favorite performance from these movies, and give me a favorite moment that you haven't mentioned yet.
I haven't mentioned yet. No, that's interesting. As I said, my favorite all-time scene is in these movies. The Rohirrim showing up at Pelennor Fields. It's just everything about that scene is amazing, and I just get so goddamn excited in every bone of my body every time I see that movie. Like, oh my god, this is so great. A moment in these movies that I love. Jesus. Performance-wise, I think Sean Astin is extremely underrated. Sean Astin as Sam he is so good, and he is the reason you care about that storyline with Frodo. Because honestly, like, as great as Elijah Wood is, as I said before, Frodo as a character, as a main character, essentially, is not the most compelling character, which I can understand because of the fact what the ring does to him, and that's why there's a little bit of a disconnect between you and him, and that's why Sam is there, because he doesn't have that disconnect, he doesn't have the ring, and he truly wants to make sure that the mission gets accomplished, and he really cares for his friend Frodo. So all the moments between him and Frodo are so good and heartfelt and genuine that I'm like, and that is mostly due to Sean Astin's performance, and I have not seen him in anything else really. Seriously, I don't know any other Sean Astin movie. Besides, yeah, I know that he's in Goonies, but I haven't seen that movie in forever, and I probably won't in a very long time at least. So, yeah, it just shows that I've only seen interviews with him. Like, both Sean Astin and Viggo Mortensen, when I see interviews with them, I'm like, you are so different than your character in these movies. Favorite moment? God. Can I just say Howard Shore? He is...
Okay.
Like, what he did in terms of the score for these movies, there's a reason he has won... like, he was nominated for, I believe, all three, and he's won at least one of them.
Twice, I think.
Or two. Okay. Well, it's so deserved. The score really makes it. Like, you really remember the themes. Concerning hobbits, it's such a great theme. And that's not even, like, of course, the main Lord of the Rings theme, everyone knows it. Tan, 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 tan. Yeah, you know it. But concerning hobbits, it's such a subtle theme that everyone remembers. Or the sound the music that they have at Isengard. Crap, I can't do it right now. But you just remember it. And it's like his score throughout. I already said one of my favorite scenes is the lighting. Yes, one of my favorite themes is just the lighting of the beacons, because that scene, like, the funny thing is that scene, of course, it signifies the moment where Gondor calls for Rohan's help, but because of the fact that Howard Shore's score is so strong, it just works so well, and it's awesome.
Nice. Favorite performance. Okay.
Like there's so many.
I actually don't know if she really is quote unquote. But growing up, I had three nerd crushes. Growing up.
I hope you're not gonna say who you think I'm gonna say. Who I think you're gonna say. Because honestly, I think she's the weakest performance.
Well, hold on. Because the first one was, of course, Leia Organa. Because come on, the second one. Okay.
No, you can say it.
When I was a kid, was Arwen. As I grew up, we get to my third one, Eowyn.
Okay, that's better.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I think Liv Tyler as
Arwen wasn't given enough to do.
No, she's probably the weakest performance in the trilogy, and that's not saying much because really performances are great. But out of all the ones, yeah, she also wasn't given that much, and I still absolutely adore the first scene that she's in. But after that, she doesn't do that much anymore,
which is really fucking unfortunate.
Yeah,
because now, granted, on the one hand, I'm glad they took her out of Helm's Deep, but on the other hand, I would have loved to have seen her at Helm's Deep. But no, Eowyn to me was, well, okay, because I didn't quite realize how badass Leia was. I just couldn't put two and two together. But to me, she was the first badass female character that I really just fell in love with.
Okay, when did you see Terminator?
Not till I was about 9 or 10.
Still very young to see those movies.
Yep. Dude, I got started on my film journey when I was very young, bro.
Yeah,
hence why I'm great at trivia. But especially with Miranda Otto, and in of course the now just epic. I am no man scene. You're just like, yes. She can stab me in the face anytime.
I would not recommend that.
Fair point.
Have you seen the scene, though?
Not yet. He'll get there. But no, my favorite moment, and I can't believe I'm actually I can't believe I'm going back to this, and I'm surprised we never brought him up. Boromir's death.
Ooh, that is heartbreaking.
'Cause
I would have followed you, my brother, my captain, my king.
Yeah, and it's actually okay. So technically, it's not his actual death, but it's the scene where he's getting shot. Like that to me is my favorite moment involving him, because he's doing something so sacrificial where he's putting his life on the line to protect Merry and Pippin at all costs, and of course he forgot his shield, because of course he did. But as he's killing all these soldiers, you see Lurtz just lurking closer and closer, and just pulls back.
He goes on, and he goes on.
And he goes on, he gets shot 2 more times, and that's when he finally goes down. It's so great. Because, again, one of my favorite story tropes, and again, this is seen very heavily in Westerns, is when you see the main guy, or whoever the sacrificial lamb is, they go out in a blaze of glory. They're shooting their guns left and right, and they're taking out bad guys, but then they're also getting hit themselves, and they get hit over and over again, but they're still going. They're still trying to keep on pressing on until they finally have had enough. And either they've won the day, or the bad guys have won, or whatever the scenario is. It's just seeing that sacrifice portrayed so beautifully by Sean Bean.
Oh, yeah.
He
portrays it so well.
Great. And Yeah.
Actually, I just realized the moment. It's like I always cry at that scene, but I cry even harder right after, where Sam is going after Frodo, and Frodo's turning back and like, I'm going to Mordor alone. Of course you are, and I'm going with you. And he
You
goes
can't
into
swim!
the water. He goes into the water, and he drowns almost. And then Frodo rescues him, and they have the moment in the boat, and I just cry my eyeballs out every time because it's like so beautiful.
I made a promise, Mr. Frodo. A promise. Don't you leave him, Samwise Gamgee.
I don't need to.
Now, okay, not to feed into the trolls, but okay, if you want to read that scene as gay, I kind of don't blame you.
I don't care. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. But with that, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Who Cares Anime podcast. And yeah, like I said, there will be, like, honestly, I think on like the next like truly dead slow week, and hopefully if Ryan can get his dumb ass onto this podcast again so we can talk Lord of the Rings with him. And once Nico has finally seen these movies,
yes, Nico,
we can
watch these.
Please watch them. These are all great movies.
Oh, he's frozen.
Oh, of course he is. Wonderful. Oh, he's back.
there
He's
he
back.
is.
He's back. All right. But, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. As I mentioned at the top of the show, I can't 100% confirm it, but we are looking to have the YouTuber Fix It in Post on next week's show to talk about their Scene 38 reimagining. Please, can that happen? Otherwise, we'll probably go back to doing another conversation about dumb action movies, sort of in honor of John Wick, but also just because dumb action movies are so much fun. But with that, Kees, where can the good folks find you online?
You can find me hosting Schmodown reactions here on Dedicated to Art, whenever the Schmodown drops, of course, and hosting Game of Thrones reviews. Episode 5 is right around the corner. Sunday for the US viewers. Monday it will drop here, and Monday will be a review as well. So look out for a review for episode 5, the penultimate episode of the show. Damn, we're ending this show. I hate this. But yeah, it has to happen. So look out for that if you're a Game of Thrones fan. Also, you can find me at Kees Cornelisse on Letterboxd and Facebook, and at Dutch Movie Guy on Twitter. And for the moment, not competing in any fan league stuff because I have a life. I have a life, I have a schedule, and it doesn't line up with my opponents. So for the moment, I am not able to compete. So I'm on a hiatus in terms of competing anywhere, either if it's on multiplex or Full Metal. I really am bummed about that, but I have to do this because I have stuff in my personal life that has priority. So yeah.
Fair point. Nico, can we steal you away from your portfolio for plugs?
Yeah, please do. Please do.
You're going nuts.
I've been typing in links left and right, and believe it or not, it's all the contact information and all the plug information that I'm about to recite. So here we go. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube at Nico Suave Regoli. That's NicoSuaveRegoli, or just at Nico Suave, and followed by the numbers 3252 on Discord. You can find me right here on Dedicated to Art and all the places Kees just said and Chris will say. You can find me on Combat Wrestling Network is the name of the YouTube channel. Combat Wrestling Trivia is the name of the Facebook group. The poorly made Twitter handle is at Combat Wrestling, the number 2. There is no letter G. If you like wrestling trivia, come join us over there and watch Adonis Nazario and James Behrman III every week for the Raw and SmackDown breakdown. You can find me over on Multiplex Entertainment is the name of the Facebook group, and the YouTube channel. The Twitter is at MultiplexYT. The Instagram is Multiplex Entertainment Network. tpublic.com/user/multiplex. Buy awesome shirts and watch me and Zaddy Smith on Crisis on Earthplex every Wednesday night at 9:30 Eastern Time. And finally, Rolling Crits. It's a new show, a tabletop show coming out on Twitch very soon. So stay tuned for that.
All right. And you guys can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Stardust, Letterboxd, and Discord at Skywalker Dohmen. You guys can follow this very channel on Twitter and Instagram at D2A Channel. Please like our Facebook page. And to all the audio listeners, let me know how the show is doing. Leave comments. I've been seeing a couple in the iTunes feed. Thank you so much. I appreciate it a lot. Same thing with Spotify, if you're able to do it there. But or Stitcher, even Podbean, Pocket Casts, wherever you guys get your favorite podcasts, please follow this show. I would greatly appreciate it. And please check out our other podcast feed we just launched for Downtuned Dissection, hosted by Ryan McLellan, which I was on the first couple episodes for. Our next episode, after he does his solo episode covering Phenomenon by 1,000 Foot Crutch, we are covering Whitechapel's The Valley. Looking forward to that airing finally. And of course, guys, you know what to do. Take care!
Yeah!